The Firmament by Fudke, a book of constellations and their meanings. The stars of Tamriel are divided into 13 constellations. 3 of them are major constellations, known as the Guardians. These are the Warrior, the Mage, and the Thief. Each of the Guardians protects its 3 charges from the 13th constellation, the Serpent. When the sun rises near one of the constellations, it is that constellation's season. Each constellation has a season of approximately 1 month. The Serpent has no season, for it moves about in the heavens, usually threatening one of the other constellations. The Warrior. The Warrior is the first Guardian constellation, and he protects his charges during their seasons. The Warrior's own season is Last Seed, when his strength is needed for the harvest. His charges are the Lady, the Steed, and the Lord. Those born under the sign of the Warrior are skilled with weapons of all kinds, but prone to short tempers. The Mage. The Mage is a Guardian constellation whose season is Rain's Hand, when Magicka was first used by men. His charges are the Apprentice, the Golem, and the Ritual. Those born under the Mage have more Magicka and talent for all kinds of spellcasting, but are often arrogant and absent-minded. The Thief. The Thief is the last Guardian constellation, and her season is the darkest month of Evening Star. Her charges are the Lover, the Shadow, and the Tower. Those born under the sign of the Thief are not typically thieves, though they take risks more often and only rarely come to harm. They will run out of luck eventually, however, and rarely live as long as those born under other signs. The Serpent. The Serpent wanders about in the sky and has no season, though its motions are predictable to a degree. No characteristics are common to all who are born under the sign of the Serpent. Those born under this sign are the most blessed and the most cursed. The Lady. The Lady is one of the Warrior's charges, and her season is Heartfire. Those born under the sign of the Lady are kind and tolerant. The Steed. The Steed is one of the Warrior's charges, and her season is Mid-Year. Those born under the sign of the Steed are impatient and always hurrying from one place to another. The Lord. The Lord's season is First Seed, and he oversees all of Tamriel during the planting. Those born under the sign of the Lord are stronger and healthier than those born under other signs. The Apprentice. The Apprentice's season is Sun's Height. Those born under the sign of the Apprentice have a special affinity for magic of all kinds, but are more vulnerable to magic as well. The Atronach. The Atronach, often called the Golem, is one of the Mage's charges. Its season is Sun's Dusk. Those born under this sign are natural sorcerers with deep reserves of magicka, but they cannot generate magicka of their own. The Ritual. The Ritual is one of the Mage's charges, and its season is Morning Star. Those born under this sign have a variety of abilities depending on the aspects of the moon and the divines. The Lover. The Lover is one of the Thief's charges, and her season is Sun's Dawn. Those born under the sign of the Lover are graceful and passionate. The Shadow. The Shadow's season is Second Seed. The Shadow grants those born under her sign the ability to hide in shadows. The Tower. The Tower is one of the Thief's charges, and its season is Frostfall. Those born under the sign of the Tower have a knack for finding gold and can open locks of all kinds.
Approach, my child, and choose where your new life shall begin.
I want to escape this cell.
So be it.
Prisoner's Plan A prisoner's doomed escape plan. The storm is coming, I can tell. The water leaking in has become stronger. There's no better time than now. When the storm hits, the guards will be scrambling to figure out what to do with us. Amidst the confusion, we need to overpower the few that will be standing guard outside our cells and hold off the cell block entrance. We need only hold off until I can get one of their swords and break open the drainage grate in the corner of my cell. That's where we'll make our escape. Everyone move down the river and we'll try to find shelter there until the storm passes.
Huh? Found you! Do your worst! Damn you!
When I get out of here, I'll kill you all myself.
Easy now, I'm here to help.
What? Who are you? You're not with the Thalmor, are you? Quick, get me free from here before more come.
Who are you?
Kaidan. My name is Kaidan.
Why are you in here?
The Thalmor invited me to high tea. What do you think? I don't know. Some Justicars ambushed me outside of Falkreath.
Don't worry, I'll get you free.
You're a lifesaver.
Here, I know a little healing magic.
A healer? That's a special gift you have. Wait, there's one more thing. One of the Thalmor got his hands on my sword. I know I've got no right to ask, but I could use your help in getting it back.
The sword is that important.
This isn't me being sentimental. They kept asking about it. If it's important to them, they shouldn't have it.
Where did he go?
Headed deeper into the prison. And with luck, he's cornered like a rat.
What was that? You enough!
son of a bitch had it coming. I can't thank you enough. I know you didn't have to help me.
What's the story with this sword?
The question on everyone's mind, even mine. The sword belonged to my mother. I never knew her, but it's my only real clue to finding out who she was. Listen, I owe you my life, and I'm not a man who's comfortable being in debt. If you ever have need of me, I'd be glad to fight alongside you till that debt is repaid.
I'd be glad to have you travel with me.
I am your sword and shield. You found the rest of my gear. Mind if I get that armor back? It's been my second skin for years now.
Aha! My tent! I thought for sure those fucking Thalmor would have left it behind. Well now, that'll be coming in handy as we travel.
You sure are excited about the tent. Why? We could have just gotten another.
No, not like this one. Just you fucking wait. I made it myself. There ain't any other tent like it in all of Skyrim. You'll see. I have something for you. It's a Nord warhorn, carved from a bit of tusk. You can use it if we ever get separated. I'll hear it, and I'll be able to find you.
Do you know this area well? Maybe where to look for work?
Well now, if we head over Whiterun Way, I know some people, good people, that might be worth checking in with. I seem to remember they always had the inside track on bounties.
All right. Are there any family or old friends you might want to see?
Now that you mention it, there is. Haven't been that way in going on 10 years now, but if we're over Orkstead way, there's someone I'd like to check in on. A childhood mate of mine. Be nice to see how he's doing if we have the time.
We could do that. Any places you'd suggest we avoid?
Aye, there's a few places I've found to be not really worth visiting. Falkreath's one. Nothing much of an interest there. Dawnstar's another. That place is fucking cold. And I don't just mean the weather. Till later then. Is there something I can do for you?
Let's rest here.
Couldn't think of anywhere better. Something I can do for you?
So, what happened with the Thalmor?
Aye, guess I owe you that. I'd been trying to find a way to cross the border into Pale Pass. In the meantime, I'd been picking up bounty contracts to keep some coin in my pocket. I must have drawn too much attention to myself. I'd been camping by the lake when they ambushed me. Seems the Thalmor don't ever need much evidence to bring in a suspect. They took one look at that sword, decided I'd be a good target for interrogation, and dragged me off to that abandoned prison.
Weren't you scared?
Brynjar used to say, if you're not a little afraid, you're not understanding the situation. Fear I can deal with easily enough. But there was a moment or two when I started to think it really would be the end for me. The Thalmor would never have let me go, no matter what I told them. You faced down mortality too. Perhaps you know the feeling.
Yes, but fighting back is the only way to beat it.
You really are formidable, aren't you? I could almost feel sorry for your enemies.
The Thalmor will come after you again, you know.
Probably. And I'll be ready for them. Live and learn, right?
What's wrong, Kaidan?
I'm intrigued.
Oh, what about?
What were you getting up to before you rescued me?
I was locked up in the same prison as you.
Aye, well, I can sympathise with you there. Seeing as we were both locked up in the same godforsaken shithole. Well, whatever you did or didn't do, fuck it. I'm just glad you freed yourself and came to my rescue.
That's all, really.
Glad to know a bit more about you.
Tell me about yourself.
I'm not sure what you want to hear.
So what brings you to Skyrim?
I've spent a long time wandering. This is where my feet led me.
There's more to it than that, surely.
Aye, isn't there always? To warn the truth, I've come back to Skyrim to learn something of my heritage, my bloodline. The few clues that I have pointed me here, but it takes time to decode. So, I'm paying my way by collecting bounties.
You have no family to ask?
No, not anymore. Perhaps I do have blood kin out there, but I've never known them.
You don't even know your own race?
No, I have no voice of the Emperor, No dragon skin magic. I don't know the race of my mother. All I have is a hunch, but I need proof.
Perhaps I could help you solve this.
You do that? I suppose I could use the help. The best clue I have is my sword, but I'm certain we can find out more in our travels.
Think it's going to be pretty cold tonight. Not looking forward to that.
Don't worry, I know more than a few tricks to keep us warm all night, no matter how cold it gets.
I beg your pardon?
Old hunter tricks like cutting down pine boughs to go under the firs to insulate us from the ground, that sort of thing. Wait, why are you looking at me like that?
No reason.
Alright then, yeah, so, don't worry about staying warm tonight, that's what you have me for, I mean, right.
I always ask you questions, Kaidan. Seems only fair to let you have a turn.
Great. Right, so, I was wondering, are you, seeing anyone?
Oh, that isn't quite what I expected, but, no, I'm not. Why do you ask?
Oh, no reason. Right, so, are you alright? Aye, time to go then?
Well, now that you've asked, I feel I need to. Are you seeing anyone?
Me? No. No, I'm not, no.
Tell me about yourself.
What did you want to know?
What are your best skills?
I was trained from a young age in many combat styles, though my focus was two-handed weapons and pole arms. A halberd might be better for the battlefield, but my favourite weapon has always been the longsword. I'm damn near unbeatable.
Tell me about yourself.
What's got you curious?
Do people ever wonder why you have red eyes?
When you're as big as I am, people don't ask a lot of questions. And what they think to themselves is none of my business.
Kaidan, will you tell me about your tattoo?
That's a lot to get into. Are you holding up all right?
Tell me about yourself.
Ask away. Right, let's get going.
Yes?
Okay, let's get moving.
With you all the way.
Guard's orders. We can't let the prisoners out, so either kill them or let them drown. Either way, all guards must evacuate as soon as possible. The storm is about to wash this whole fort into the river, and I'll be damned if I have to report one Legion death while under my watch. You have your orders. The Legend of Red Eagle by Kaidan Dren, Archivist of Winterhold, an ancient tale about the invasion of the Reach by the First Empire. This tale is transcribed from the memory of Clarice Vienne, student of Winterhold. Elements of the legend suggest a date circa First Era 1030, though as with any oral tradition, much of it is likely a later anachronism. Curiously, stories of a similar king and his legendary blade appear in other ancient myths of the Reach. Long ago, a child was born in the Sundered Hills. They named him Pheolin, which means Red Eagle in the tongue of the Reach, for the screeching bird call that greeted his birth and the crimson blooms on the autumn hills. Thus began his legend, Reach Child, born under auspicious skies, his very name the color of blood. 10 kings ruled the Reach in those days, and though men were free, the people were scattered and warred amongst themselves. The augurs foresaw the boy's destiny. a warrior without peer, first and foremost Lord of the Reach, chosen to unite all under his name. Phelan grew in years and strength, and it seemed the prophecy would be fulfilled. The banner of the Red Eagle was raised along the cliffs of the Reach, and his people prospered. Then came Hestra, Empress of the South, riding to war. One by one the kings stood before her, and one by one they fell aside, bending knee in imperial bargains, or slaughtered on the battlefield. Her legions came at last to the sundered hills, and envoys were sent to bargain for their surrender. Phelan refused to yield the freedom of his people, but the elders were afraid, cast him out, and accepted the imperial yoke. Thus was stolen by the foreign invaders his land, his people, his very name. In the years that followed, Red Eagle became known as the untamed spirit of the Reach, unbowed, unbroken, stained by the blood of his foes. He gathered loyal Reachmen to himself, those who clung to the old ways, who yearned for freedom, and forged a new nation. Together they fell upon the occupiers and the traitors by night, disappearing into the cliffs and caves each morn, evading capture. It was not enough. For every imperial patrol and garrison they wiped out, yet more seemed to march from the green south to replace them. One night, under a cloud-choked sky, the men of the Red Eagle warmed themselves over damp fires of smoldering moss. A huddled, shambling figure came to them, cloaked in rags, face cowled. Though his men mocked and cast stones at the stranger, Phelan sensed something and beckoned. The cowl was thrown back in the dim light, and she revealed herself to be one of the ancient and venerable Hagravins. She offered power for a price, and a pact was made. Thus was brokered to the witch his heart, his will, his humanity. From that day forth, his was a spirit of vengeance, pitiless and beyond remorse. The rebels grew in strength and numbers, and none could stand against them. Phelan's eyes burned coldly in those days, black opals, reflecting a mind not entirely his own. 2 years passed, and the foreigners were all but driven from the Reach. Such peace could not last, however, and a great host fell upon them, a swift army of invaders unlike any before. For a fortnight, Hestra's generals laid siege to Red Eagle's stronghold, till he himself came forth for battle, alone, and robed in nothing but his righteous fury. 1,000 foreigners fell before his flaming sword, and the enemy was routed. Yet, when night fell, so too did he. The warriors who came to him said Phelan's eyes were clear again on that final night. He was taken to the place prepared for him, a tomb hidden deep within the rock. With his remaining strength he presented his sword to his people and swore an oath. Fight on, and when at last the Reach is free, his blade should be returned, that he might rise and lead them again. Thus was given for his people his life, his dream, his sword. But when every debt is repaid in blood, these he shall reclaim once more. Song of Hrormir, the epic narrative of Hrormir, one-time champion of Nocturnal. Hrormir, son of Hrorgar, summoned to the court of Vyendak, son of Vyenmor, king of Evensnow. Mighty caster of magic, I charge thee to go to Aelfendor, for its hoary warriors do threaten my land, and bring forth their cousin demons to terrify my people. Hrormir, son of Hrorgar, heard the words of Vyendak Evensnow. By Icestaff, surely I would help thee, but I have already a quest to drink 12 flagons of mead in 1 hour, and then to bed 4 wenches, twice each, so I must with grace decline. The king, he did not smile at Hrormir and his jolly spirit. By thine honour must thou aidest my cause, for thou must takest up the sword of thy companion Darfang, who took the quest and failed. Hrormir laughed. Now I know thou jest. My boon-mate Darfang wouldst not fail. There'd be no finer bladesman. If thou chargest him, he wouldst not fail. I did not say he fell. He joined the Dark Kings of Aelfendor, and by doing so dishonoured himself and thee, his friend. Hrormir could not believe the words, and yet he knew Evensnow did not lie. So for 20 days and 3 rodeth he to the land of night, the kingdom of fear, where the peasants ever carried candles, knowing what evil awaiteth them, should they stray beyond the glow. The sovereignty of 3 dark kings, Aelfendor, there, torch in hand, didst Hrormir pass through haunted countryside and frightened villages, and through the black gates of the blacker castle of Aelfendor. The 3 darkest kings did sneer at the sight of mighty Hrormir, and summoned they their champion Darfang the Blade. My boon companion, Hrormir called into the hall of night. I dare not trust my eyes, for then I wouldst believe that thou hadst joined with evil, and turned thy way from honor and brotherhood. Hrormir, Darfang the Blade did cry, if thou dost not go now, one of us must die, for I hate thee. But Hrormir was battle ready, and in the echoing halls of night, the blade of Darfang and the staff of Hrormir did strike again and yet again. Mighty warriors and mages both, the boon companions now foes, shook Mundus with their war. They might have fought for a year if there were sun in Aelfendor to mark time, and either Hrormir or Darfang may verily have won. But Hrormir saw through the dark the tears in the eyes of his former friend, and then he saweth the shadow of Darkfang, were it not his own. And so with ice staff he did strike, not Darfang, but his shadow, which cried, Hold, mortal man! The shadow became the hag, bent and twisted. In her cloak and hood, from her faceless shadows she hissed, Mortal man called Hrormir, the soul of thy boon companion is my plaything, but I will take thine in trade. For though ye both have strong arms, thou hast the more clever mind, which my son, the Dark Kings, need for a champion of Aelfendor. Hrormir the Brave didst not take a breath, or pause before he boldly said, Shadowy hag, release Darfang, and thou mayest use me as thou wilt. The hag didst laugh, and freed Darfang. To save thine honor this thou hast done, but now thou must be without honor, mortal man, as the champion of the Dark Kings, my heirs of Grey Maybe. Thou must help them divide Aelfendor, and love me, thy shadowy hag, and thy mistress well. For loss of his honor, and his dear friend's sacrifice, noble Darfang prepared to take his dagger and plunge it in his good heart. But Hrormir stayed his brother's hand and whispered, No, boon companion, wait for me at the village banquet hall. And then did Darfang the Blade leave the castle, while Hrormir took the withered claw of the hag and pressed it to his lips. Shadowy hag, to thee I pledge to only honor thy black words, to turn my back on truth, to aid thy Dark King's ambition, to divide their inheritance fairly, to love thee, to think thee beautiful. Then to the chamber in the heart of night Hrormir and the hag did retire. Kissed he there her wrinkled lips, and her wrinkled, sagging breasts. For 10 days and nights and 3 did Hrormir and his ice staff battle thus. Then sweet Kinnereth blew honeyed winds o'er the hills and the forest glens of Aelfendor, and the caress of warm-blooded Dibella coaxed the blossoms to wanton display, so that Aelfendor became a garden of all the senses. The frightened servants of the Dark Kings woke to find there was naught to fear, and through the once dark streets of the village came the cries of celebration. In the banquet hall of the village, Hrormir and his boon companion Darfang embraced and drank of rich mead. The shadowy hag too was smiling, sleeping still in her soft bed, until the morning sun touched her naked face, and she awoke and saw all, and knew all saw her, and she cried out, Mortal man! Night fell fast upon the land, as the hag flew into the banquet hall, casting blackest darkness in her wake. But all the celebrants could still see her anger in her monstrous face, and they shook with fear. The hag had said the kingdom was to be divided among her heirs, but Aelfendor had been kept whole while her children were divided, drawn, and quartered. Hrormir was mightily amused. He swallowed his laughter in his mead, for none should laugh outright at the Daedra Lord Nocturnal. Without her grey cowl of shadowed night, her hideous face forced the moons to hide themselves. Hrormir the Mighty did not quail. Whereas be thine hood, shadowy hag? Mortal man has taken it from me unaware. When I awoke, my face unmasked, my kingdom cast into the light, my Dark King heirs in pieces cast, and here my champion smiles. Yet in truth, thou kept thy promise truly, to never keep thy promise true. Hrormir, son of Hrothgar, bowed to the hag, his queen. And evermore, till thou releaseth me, will I serve thee so. A clever mind in a champion is a much overvalued trait. The hag released Hrormir's soul, and he released her hood, and so in the light of darkest dark she left Aelfendor evermore. And after drinking 12 flagons of mead, and bedding 4 wenches, twice each, did Darfang return to Eversnow with Hrormir, son of Hrothgar.
Let's take a water break. I don't want you getting dehydrated now, eh?
Welcome to you. May your road lead you to warm sands.
Blessings of the moons upon you, traveler.
I welcome you, friend. How may I serve you?
Who owns the trading caravans?
It is Risad who owns the 3 trading caravans that travel the roads of Skyrim. Long ago, I was an orphan on the streets of Corinth. I stowed away aboard a trade ship that brought me here. It was Risad who found me. He provided the funds to start this caravan and put me in charge of it. I owe him more than I could ever hope to repay.
Has the war made your travels difficult?
Quite the opposite, in fact. The soldiers are some of our best customers, for we offer supplies and wares they cannot obtain by other means. It was Risad's idea to come here now, while the land is in turmoil. Where others saw only danger, he saw opportunity. I hope that you will come to do business with us again. Goods and wares of all kinds, and all can be yours.
If you've come to Solitude to join the Legion, speak to Rika. If not, just keep your nose clean while you're here. You'll end up like Rome.
They can't hurt Uncle Rogvir. Tell them he didn't do it.
Positions.
Sorry, you need to go home. Go home and stay there until your mother
Traitor!
comes.
You betrayed us! You should
Get
tell her that her
on
uncle
with
is
it!
scum that betrayed his High King. Best she know now, Advar. Traitor!
All heart, Vivian.
Rogvir, you helped Ulfric Stormcloak escape the city after he murdered High King Torrig. By opening that gate for Ulfric, you betrayed the people of Solitude. He doesn't deserve to speak!
There was no murder. Ulfric
Liar.
challenged Torrig. He beat the High King in fair combat. Such is our way. Such is the ancient custom of Skyrim and all Nords.
Boo!
On this day, I go to Sovngarde.
Some gate guard you were! Good riddance to bad rubbish, I say.
He died well.
Hey, someone had to take it, right? Need something?
I'm sorry, can I help you? The museum is currently closed until further notice.
Well, today's your lucky day. I just so happen to have a few things you might be interested in.
Do you really? Well, now you have piqued my curiosity. Might I have a look? Well, I must say, I am impressed with the quality of your finds. I believe this would be a sufficient payment for these items. You are clearly a cut above the rest. Would you be interested in working with the museum?
I can bring things for you to display.
And I think a special arrangement could work. Instead of me simply buying the relics off of you, perhaps you could bring them here, lend them to the museum. I'll give you an occasional finder's fee, and we'll safeguard your collection for you. You'll be able to access any and all of your collection as you see fit, and you'll know the rest of it will be safe in your absence.
Sounds good to me.
Excellent. Well, let me give you the 10 Septem tour then. This building was once called Magnarian Hall and was built as a temple dedicated to Talos, the patron god of the Nords. After the White Gold Concordat, however, the statue was moved and the temple closed. I came here a few years ago and was able to procure use of the space in the pursuit of establishing this museum. Of course, I have had the building vastly expanded over the last 2 years to accommodate what I hope will become one of the grandest collections of Tamrielic history in the world. This grand atrium I call the Hall of Heroes. It is where a variety of historically significant relics can be displayed, and is quite a striking entrance to the museum, if I do say so myself. Off to the right is the reception hall and staff barracks, as well as the museum office where I do much of my work. To our left you'll find the central hallway leading to all the other galleries of the museum, which also serves as the cultural arts exhibit. Here I hope to display a variety of art as well as elements representing the more primitive cultures here in Skyrim, such as the Falmer, Forsworn, the Giants, and more. Down here on the lower level you will find access to the East Exhibit Halls, which houses the Daedric Gallery, the Hall of Lost Empires, Hall of Oddities, and the Hall of Legends, which showcase a vast array of relics pertaining to the Daedra, Dwemer, Falmer, and ancient Nordic cultures, as well as a number of peculiar items that defy simple classification.
At the close end of this hall, the stairwell will lead to the Hall of Wonders and armories in the basement and up to the second floor.
There you will find access to the Natural Science Gallery, as well as the Dragonborn Hall, where I will commission a variety of displays heralding any of your accomplishments. At the far end of the hallway on both floors you'll find access to the Grand Library, and here on this floor the door on the right also connects to the museum office. If you cannot find me in my office, you will almost certainly find me whiling away the hours in the library. Also, you should pick up a copy of the museum guide at the entrance of the museum. It will let you know the schedule of where I'm working should you need to find me, and it will offer you an easier way of navigating the museum, as well as keep track of how many displays our museum has. Of course, it may take me a moment to update those accounts, so check the guide again if you feel the numbers seem off. I'm sure I'll eventually account for everything. Any items you find for display, you can either manually place them yourself, or utilize the prep station in my office. And I'll ensure everything you have gets properly displayed if it has an appropriate place. I'm likely to have a variety of tasks for you, but in between, I'm sure you could help me find a random relic or two I've been researching. Feel free to look around and come find me if you have any questions. I'm very excited about the prospects of where we are headed.
What's next?
Very simple. You keep doing what you're doing and stop in here from time to time if you find anything interesting. Have a look around and find the spot to display it. In addition to displaying the spoils of your adventures, I will commission and build exhibits based on those exploits. Anything of relevant consequence can be inspiring to the people. Good luck!
historian's notes on Symmachus. Symmachus was the husband of Queen Berensae of Mournhold, and the most trusted confidant of Tiber Septim. One of his key relics was a glass dagger which he passed down to his son Helseth, who awarded it to the Nerevarine, who in turn provided the blade to the museum in Mournhold. A number of years ago I saw the blade at the Mournhold Museum on one of my numerous visits, and when news of the eruption of Red Mountain came, I tried to contact Tarasa to help safeguard the relics, but it seemed that when Mournhold fell, the museum lost much of what it held to looters, bargainers, and a few safekeepers. But by the time my message arrived to her, the events already were seen through, and the museum was empty. She did relay to me information on a number of relics which I have since been able to trace to possible locations, one of which was the dagger of Symmachus. It seems that the blade was sold through a number of markets and dealers until it was bought by a ritualist, bound for Solstheim. Based on what I have managed to find out, the individual would most likely have taken it to a very high point, perhaps near the Frekte Peak. I should like to explore that area at some point and see if my theories ring true or not.
Need a ride?
What do you know about Solitude?
Solitude's been the capital of Skyrim as long as I can remember. Most of the High Kings of Skyrim were Jarls of Solitude first. Well, let's see, what else? The Bard's College is here, and the main office of the East Empire Company. If you need it, you can get a room for a fair price at the Rinking Skeever, just inside the main gate.
I'd like to hire your carriage.
Where do you want to go?
Riften.
Climb and back, and we'll be off. Oh, there once was a hero named Ragnar the Red who came riding to Run from old Rorikstead.
No need to worry. Any cut purse tries to snatch away your coin, I'll take their hand myself for a trophy.
All for sale at
The roads
fair
of Skyrim
prices.
lead to many dangers.
So many refuse to talk to us. They call us thieves and smugglers. I am glad to see that you are not such a one.
Have you had trouble with the locals?
Mostly, it is the Nords. They do not like outsiders in their land, and so we are forbidden to enter their cities. When they look upon us, they see only pickpockets and skooma dealers. It is most unfair, but we do our best to ignore them. May your road lead you to warm sands.
Hold there. Before I let you into Riften, you need to pay the visitor's tax.
What's the tax for?
For the privilege of entering the city. What does it matter?
This is obviously a shakedown.
All right, keep your voice down. You want everyone to hear you? I'll let you in. Just let me unlock the gate. The gate's unlocked. You can head inside when you're ready.
had another run-in with the Thieves' Guild.
Be careful, Mule. The Thieves' Guild has Maven Blackbriar at its back. One snap of her fingers and you could end up in Riften jail. Or worse.
They represent the reason I'm here. I can't just ignore them, Eren.
I know. I just don't want you to leave. You're the only good thing that's happened to this city in a long time.
I don't know you. You in Riften looking for trouble?
Just passing through.
Yeah? Well, I got news for you. There's nothing to see here. Last thing the Blackbriars need is some stranger sticking their nose where it doesn't belong.
Who are the Blackbriars?
The Blackbriars have Riften in their pocket and the Thieves Guild watching their back, so keep your nose out of their business. Me? I'm Maul. I watch the streets for them. If you need dirt on anything, I'm your guy. But it'll cost you.
Dirt, huh? I'm not exactly clean myself.
Then we're speaking the same language. Good. So what do you want to know?
Any news involving the Dark Brotherhood?
The only thing I heard is a rumor that a boy named Aventus Aretino in Windhelm has been attempting to contact the Dark Brotherhood. He used to live here in Riften at the orphanage on the other side of town, but I think he ran away. Can't say I blame him.
Tell me more about the Blackbriars.
Well, you got Maven. She pretty much runs the whole operation. She's got friends in high places, if you know what I mean. She's also got ties to the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild, so basically no one can touch her. Just remember, if she tells you to do something, you damn well better do exactly what she says.
Know anything about the Thieves Guild?
You kidding? My brother Dirge works in their hideout. I used to run with them myself, but took a job with Maven after they started hitting a rough patch. If you want to get in on that action, find Brynjolf in the marketplace. I'm sure he could use someone like you.
I'm really getting tired of your excuses. When you borrowed the money, you said you'd pay it back on time.
Bastard corrupt guard is pretending to charge you a tax fee for us to get into.
How was I to know the shipment would get robbed?
Next time, keep your plans quieter, and nothing would have happened to it.
What? Are you telling me you robbed it? Why? Why are you doing this to me?
Look, Shadra, last warning. Pay up or else. All I care about is the gold. Everything else is your problem.
Careful. Riften's not the safest place for a nighttime stroll.
Thieves' note. Fox told me he wore the cowl to forget himself and start a new life. Yet I'm the one who can't remember. Every time we meet, he's a stranger to me. Or was it a she? It doesn't matter. I spoke his words to a beggar, told her, "Shadow hide you." She slipped me a note that confirms my suspicions. The gray fox is dead, and now that I've seen his headstone, I know for a fact his time is over, and the cowl will be passed on. I'm going to be the next one to wear it, and when I do, I'll become so rich I won't need any memories. I'll just buy new ones.
Don't cross me, elf.
Let's take a water break. I don't want you getting dehydrated now, eh?
Let's press on, I'll be okay.
Alright, alright.
Have you ever done this before?
Might need to be more specific. Done what exactly?
Been someone's shield? Guarded their body? You know, this whole oath thing?
No, I can't say that I have. You've definitely the first body I've ever watched so carefully. Wait, fuck, no, let's just leave it at that, eh?
Can you tell me more about the people you know from Whiterun?
I don't know them all that personal. I just know they were good to have at your back in a fight and wicked clever at sniffing out a trail.
You said they might know about work. Does that mean you've seen them recently?
Oh, aye. I just finished a bounty with them over near that shithole of a hole at Falkreath. I had a few too many ales celebrating with them after that and lost a fair bit of coin in the cards as well. I decided to camp by the water and sleep off the ale when the fucking Thalmor ambushed me.
About surviving out here.
Aye.
Do you have any advice?
Aye. You need to take along a man who knows his way around a bow and arrow. And I can find dry kindling even in the soggiest marsh in Hellmarch.
Let's rest here.
Aye, I won't argue there. Need some help?
Any thoughts?
You're very well read. I envy that. As a child, my education had always been focused on the art of war first. I think now I'd like to catch up, expand my mind a little.
I could lend you books if you want.
I'd appreciate it. Certainly makes quiet nights by the fire more interesting.
Tell me about yourself.
Tell me more about yourself.
What would you like to know about me?
What's your weapon of choice?
Bow.
I can already see you're very skilled.
Tell me about yourself.
As you wish.
Will you tell me more of your story?
I was raised by a Nord, Brynjar. He was a bounty hunter, so I spent most of my childhood travelling Tamriel and crisscrossing Skyrim. Of course, as I go on, I'm finding there was more to it than that. The constant moving, teaching me how to live in the wilderness, training me every day to fight. I learned how to use a sword before I'd even learned how to read.
Sounds like you had an odd childhood.
For my 13th birthday, he took me on a hunting trip in the wilderness. And when I woke the next morning, he was nowhere to be found. All he'd left me was some flint, a knife, and an empty water skin. It took me 2 days to get back to civilization, but I'd learned the importance of self-sufficiency by then.
What? Why would he do that?
I think Brynjar was running from something, and he spent my whole life teaching me how to defend myself from whatever it was. Not that he ever told me. He was always vague about his past, and even more so about mine. Always promising to tell me one day, and then dying before he ever got around to it. That run-in with the Thalma seems to have shed some light on it, though.
And your mother?
No, I don't know much about my mother. Only that the sword I have once belonged to her, or so Brynjar told me. He also said that she was brave, and beautiful, and clever, but never anything actually useful. After his death, I took up the job of bounty hunting. It was all I knew, really, and it's led me to some interesting places. And some other years well, perhaps the less said about parts of my past, the better.
You don't want to tell me?
It's not something worth retelling.
How are you doing? All right. Is there something I'd do for you?
Tell me about yourself.
I'd rather hear about you.
What would you like to know about me?
What's your favourite time of day?
Sunrise.
Yeah. There's a little window of time before the light rises over the horizon and everything comes to life. When the world is nice and quiet. It feels, well, you know what I mean.
Come on, we've got things to do.
Damn shame, that is.
Catalog of Enchantments for Armor by Yvonne B.N., Synod Researcher. An incomplete list of all the spells and armor used in enchanting. Within this catalog are all the known varieties of armor enchantments that modern mages can cast. No pretense is made that this list is complete. New discoveries are made and new enchantments are revealed often enough that this work will eventually become outdated. Those who follow may choose to revise this work as needed. The most common enchantments for armor and other garb are those that improve health, magic, or stamina. Fortifying the wearer's health is popular with warriors. It actually makes the wearer harder to kill, binding his life force a bit tighter to his body. Fortifying magicka is more commonly seen in clothing because wizards tend to avoid bulky, restrictive armor. It allows the wizard to cast more spells before becoming magically exhausted. Fortifying stamina is a secondary choice for fighters. They tire less quickly, but do not survive their wounds any better. There is a wide range of physical and mental attributes or skills that can be fortified by enchantments. There are as many of these as there are wizards with imagination. A few choice examples are archery, sneaking, conjuration, and carrying strength. The focus is always quite narrow. There are even examples of gauntlets that are enchanted to improve the wearer's ability to enchant things. Another common form of armor enchantment are the resistances. The elemental resistances are marginally easier to find and make. They make the wearer less susceptible to burning, freezing, and shocks. There are also poison resistances and enchantments that will resist all forms of magic. An uncommon pair of enchantments are water breathing and muffle. The former allows the wearer to swim underwater indefinitely. The latter totally silences the clinking and clanking of the armor, so the wearer moves more quietly. It's been speculated that muffle is a wizard's lazy solution to a problem that could be solved with cloth and wrappings. The rarest of enchantments increase the recovery rate of health, magicka, or stamina. The wearer actually heals from his wounds while you watch, even if he is in the midst of a battle. Wizards normally recover their magical energy at a moderate pace. Wearing this armor makes that recovery much faster. The same is true for stamina recovery enchantments. The wearer tires just as quickly as always, but seems to get his wind back much faster.
Chronicles of Inculeft by an anonymous altar, an historical chronicle of events in the Dwemer freehold colony of Inculeft. This is a chronicle of events of historical significance to the Dwemer freehold colony of Inculeft. The text was probably recorded by an altmare, for it is written in Altmaris. 23. The death of Lord Illindam. It happened in second planting, PD 1220, that Lord Illindam, on a journey in the western uplands, came to Inculeft, and Protector Ankard and General Arkungthunch met him there, and Dalen Zanchu also came to the meeting. They talked together long by themselves, but this was only known of their business, that they were to be friends of each other. They parted, and each went home to his own colony. Blue Thanch and her sons came to hear of this meeting, and saw in this secret meeting a treasonable plot against the councils, and they often talked of this amongst themselves. When spring came, the councils proclaimed, as usual, a council meet in the halls of Bams Amshend. The people accordingly assembled, hand-fasted with ale and song, drinking bravely, and much and many things were talked over at the drink table. And, among other things, were comparisons between different Dwemer, and at last among the councillors themselves. One said that Lord Illindam excelled his fellow councillors by far and in every way. At this, Councillor Bluthanch was very angry, and said that she was in no way less than Illindam, and that she was eager to prove it. Instantly both parties were so inflamed that they challenged each other to battle, and ran to their arms. But some citizens who were less drunk, and more understanding, came between them, and quieted them, and each went back to his colony, but nobody expected that they would ever meet in peace again together. But then, in the fall, Lord Illindam received a message from Councillor Bluthanch, inviting him to a parley at Hendor Stardoms, and all Illindam's kin and citizens strongly urged him not to come, fearing treachery. But Lord Illindam would not listen to counsel, not even to carrying with him his honor guard. And sadly, it came to pass that, while travelling to Hendor Stardoms, in Chinzinch Pass, a host of foul creatures set upon Lord Illindam and killed him and all of his party. And many citizens said thereafter that Bluthanch and her sons had conjured these beasts and set them upon Lord Illindam, but nothing was proven. Lord Illindam lies buried at a place called Leftunch.
Dwemer History and Culture. Collected Essays on Dwemer History and Culture by Hasfat Antabalus. Chapter 1. Marabar Sul and the Trivialization of the Dwemer in Popular Culture. While Marabar Sul's Ancient Tales of the Dwemer was definitively debunked in scholarly circles as early as the reign of Kataria I, it remains one of the staples of the literate middle classes of the empire, and has served to set the image of the Dwemer in the popular imagination for generations of schoolchildren. What about this lengthy but curiously insubstantial tome has proven so captivating to the public that it has been able to see off both the scorn of the literati and the scathing critiques of the scholars? Before examining this question, a brief summary of the provenance and subsequent career of ancient tales would be appropriate. First published around 2E670, in the interregnum between the fall of the First Cyrodiilic Empire and the rise of Tiber Septim, it was originally presented as a serious, scholarly work based on research in the archives of the University of Gwilym, and in the chaos of that era was taken at face value, a sign of the sad state of Dwemer scholarship in those years. Little is known of the author, but Marabar Sul was most likely a pseudonym of Gor Felin, a prolific writer of penny dreadful romances of that era, who is known to have used many other pseudonyms. While most of Felim's other work has, thankfully, been lost to history, what little survives matches ancient tales in both language and tone. See Lomis, textual comparison of Gor Felim's A Hypothetical Treachery with Marabar Sul's Ancient Tales of the Dwemer. Felim lived in Cyrodiil his whole life, writing light entertainments for the elite of the old imperial capital. Why he decided to turn his hand to the Dwemer is unknown, but it is clear that his research consisted of nothing more than collecting the peasants' tales of the Nibelheim Valley and recasting them in Dwemer guise. The book proved popular in Cyrodiil, and Felim continued to churn out more volumes until the series numbered 7 in all. Ancient Tales of the Dwemer was thus firmly established as a local favorite in Cyrodiil, already in its 17th printing, when the historical forces that propelled Tiber Septim to prominence also began to spread the literature of the Heartland across the continent. Marabar Sul's version of the Dwemer was seized upon in a surge of human racial nationalism that has not yet subsided. The Dwemer appear in these tales as creatures of fable and light fantasy, but in general they are just like us. They come across as a bit eccentric, perhaps, but certainly there's nothing fearsome or dangerous about them. Compare these to the Dwemer of early Redguard legend, a mysterious, powerful race, capable of bending the very laws of nature to their will, vanished but perhaps not gone. Or the Dwemer portrayed in the most ancient Nord sagas, fearsome warriors tainted by blasphemous religious practices, who used their profane mechanisms to drive the Nords from Morrowind. Marabar Sul's Dwemer were much more amenable to the spirit of the time, which saw humans as the pinnacle of creation, and the other races as unenlightened barbarians, or imperfect, lesser versions of humans, eager for tutelage. Ancient Tales falls firmly to the latter camp, which does much to explain its enduring hold on the popular imagination. Marabar Sul's Dwemer are so much more comfortable, so much friendlier, so much more familiar than the real Dwemer, whose truly mysterious nature we are only beginning to understand. The public prefers this light, trivial version of the Spanish race, and from what I have learned in my years of studying the Dwemer, I have some sympathy for that preference. As the following essays will show, the Dwemer were, to our modern eyes, a remarkably unlikable people in many ways. Legal Basics by Ankivius, M.C.F. Ignorance of the law is no defense. Be forewarned that the following are but the most universal of Tamrielian laws and regulations. Your own local province or principality may have unique laws of its own. As a citizen of the Empire, it is your right and responsibility to know and follow these laws of the land. Breaking and entering. This refers to any act including, but not limited to, opening, breaking, incinerating, magically transporting, or in any way causing a door, window, or other portal that has been magically or mundanely locked, or which a reasonable person would assume to be so restricted to be passable, and the act, though the act is not required for the definition, of entering the house, business, or public location through said defined portal. Punishment for this crime may include a fine or incarceration, or a fine and incarceration. The fine and incarceration, or both, or neither, may be less in a crime of attempted breaking and entering. A crime of attempted breaking or entering is defined as any act that a reasonable person would perceive as the preparation for an attempt, whether successful or not, or perceived to be possibly successful or not, to bring about the opening, breaking, incinerating, magically transporting, or in any way causing a door, window, or other portal that has been magically or mundanely locked, or which a reasonable person would assume to be so restricted to be possible, and the act, though the act is not required for the definition, of preparing or attempting, whether successful or not, perceived to be possibly successful or not, entering the house, business, or public location through said defined portal. Trespassing. This refers to walking, flying, riding, teleporting, floating, or in any way moving or existing on a property without the explicit written or spoken permission, or permission a reasonable person might infer, of the owner or caretaker of the property. The punishment for this crime may include a fine or incarceration, or a fine and incarceration. Assault. Any threat or attempt, whether successful or not, to do physical, emotional, mental, or magical harm or injury to another person, group of persons, or entity a reasonable person might assume to be sentient. Any threat or attempt, whether successful or not, to do physical, emotional, mental, or magical harm or injury to another person, group of persons, or entity a reasonable person might assume to be sentient. Punishment for this crime may include a fine or incarceration, or a fine and incarceration. Murder. Any act of premeditated or malicious, or premeditated and malicious, or an act that a reasonable person would call premeditated and malicious, or premeditated or malicious, or accidental but criminal intended, or what a reasonable person would call criminally intended, purpose that results directly in the death or destruction with implied death of a person, group, or persons, or entity a reasonable person might assume to be sentient. The punishment for this crime may include a fine or incarceration, or a fine and incarceration. Criminal conspiracy. Any meeting, communication, or encounter with the purpose for which a reasonable person might assume had the purpose of preparing or arranging a crime of any kind, or crimes of any kind, to be committed or caused to be committed. The punishment for this crime may include a fine or incarceration, or a fine and incarceration. Vagrancy. Any act of idleness, disorder, begging, or conduct unbecoming a person with occupation, gold, or a home, or occupation, gold, and a home, or occupation or gold and home, or occupation and gold or home, or occupation and home or gold, or what a reasonable person would consider idle, disorderly, beggarly, or unbecoming. The punishment for this crime may include a fine or incarceration, or a fine and incarceration. Smuggling. Any act of bringing in, taking out, teleporting, or causing to be brought in, taken out, or teleported, an object considered illegal or, if not illegal, requiring an import or export tax which is not paid. The punishment for this crime may include a fine or incarceration, or a fine and incarceration, and will include confiscation of the offensive or illegal object. It may also include, but not be restricted to, execution or banishment, or execution and banishment. High treason. Any act against, whether directly or indirectly, or any non-action which results in circumstances directly or indirectly against an alleged sovereign, or by a vessel to a liege, resulting, or what a reasonable person would assume would result, in physical, emotional, mental, or magical harm, or injury in said sovereign or liege. The punishment for this crime will be death. Pickpocketing. Any act of stealing, taking, or without explicit written or verbal permission, or what a reasonable person would infer as implied permission, an item or items a person, group of persons, or entity a reasonable person might assume to be sentient has on his, her, its, or their own person. The punishment for this crime may include a fine or incarceration, or a fine and incarceration. Theft, sometimes called larceny. Any act of stealing, taking, or without explicit written or verbal permission, or what a reasonable person would infer as implied permission, an item or items from a person, group of persons, or entity a reasonable person might assume to be sentience, place of residence, business, person, or other location, a reasonable person would assume is secured from looting. The punishment for this crime may include a fine or incarceration, or a fine and incarceration. These are the usual day-to-day definitions used by legal experts like myself, but both the definitions and punishments may fluctuate wildly according to location and situation. In the Imperial City, legal counsel is available by persons like myself, but the provinces have no such systems in place. Perhaps that will change in time. We can all hope so. As a final note, the Tamriel legal system has its basis in the civilized, reasonable credo uttered by the prophet Maruch in the First Era. All are guilty until they have proven themselves innocent. Were truer words ever spoke? Letter from Orion. Good day, my friend. I hope this message finds you well. I wanted to report to you the current success of the museum and to offer you an additional incentive, since you have proven yourself quite capable indeed. We have started to receive visitors to the museum, and they are quite taken with the displays. I've set up a donation box near the museum entrance, and I will leave your share of the contributions made by patrons who visit inside it. Feel free to help yourself to the proceeds any time you stop by. Additionally, I wanted to offer the use of the museum's safe house. It's been locked up and unused for some time, but I went in and made sure it was in good order. You will find it is fully equipped with all the amenities you could ever want. This key will give you access. Be well and keep up the good work. Orion Morellis.
I'm not interested, Jari. It doesn't matter how many times you ask.
How do you feel? I think you might be sick. Huh. You know, you've got a certain fire in your eyes. Just like my Beerend. Please, feel free to look around. We've got a bit of everything.
Who is Beyrand?
Baron's my husband. He works the forge up at Castle Dower. I barely see him nowadays, what with him filling orders for the army.
Were you at Rogvir's execution?
No, that was an ugly affair. High King Torig's death has turned the whole town on its head. Between you and me, he wasn't even that good a king. All of those rambling speeches about the Empire this and the Empire that.
What have you got for sale?
Take a look.
Stupid twats.
So, this is a safe house. I like it. Plenty of space to do things. And it's warm and cosy to boot.
Well, look here. It's nothing fancy. I like to see you smile, and it made me think of you. What can I do for you?
I'd like to hear more about this childhood friend. If you're willing to share?
Aye, well, my guardian and I, we used to stop in Rorikstead 2 or 3 times a year. The only real time I got to be around someone my age. It was nice to have a familiar face I could call a friend, even if we were complete opposites.
What do you mean?
The lad always wanted to live a wandering life, like in a bard's adventuring tales. I was sick of the wandering, and I just wanted to be having one fucking place that I could call my home.
Were you good friends?
Yes, we were. Truth be told, I always thought of him more like a brother than just a friend.
We could stop over that way if you'd like, that is.
It's no rush, but... aye. I think I'd like that. Thank you.
I was thinking I would take a page from your book and expand my mind.
Aye? Go on, you've got me curious.
Well, I was wondering if you would be willing to help me improve a few skills.
All right. What did you want to know?
So, you wouldn't mind?
Aye? Well now, it's a good idea. Maybe when we've got time to take a break.
What do you think of the museum?
Legacy of the Dragonborn Museum. Well, this is a nice place to show all of Skyrim your accomplishments. I wonder if there'll be a Legacy of Kaidan wing in the museum as well. I suppose we'll be fetching relics from all over Skyrim and Saltsteam. I love adventuring with you. This'll be great. I'm at your service.
I loved the flower. What made you think to give me one?
I've just always liked those, thought they were pretty. I just saw it like that morning and it made me think of you.
What do you think of the Civil War?
I think it's bloody idiocy.
That's concise.
Well, what do you need me to point out? How brainless this rebellion is, or how useless the Empire became at looking after its own?
What's your issue with the Empire?
You mean aside from the time they rolled over and started taking up the arse from the Thalmor? The Empire died 200 years ago with Martin's Septim. The Elder Council forgot the people they actually rule over. The ones who built their palaces and farmed the food they eat. It's no wonder Hammerfell broke away when it could. I just don't see the Empire surviving for much longer. If Skyrim becomes independent, High Rock will be sure to follow. Seems to me Tamriel needs something new to unify it.
Glad I'm not the only one who thinks that way.
Believe it or not, you're not the only one at Skyrim with sense.
Let's rest here.
Aye, I think we've earned it. Here, I brought you a book. When I'm going through one of my brooding silences, perhaps it might come in handy. Need some help?
Did you feel like talking?
You know what? Tell me something about you.
What would you like to know about me?
What's your favourite colour?
Purple.
I can see why you love it.
Tell me about yourself.
Of course. What were you wondering?
You were telling me your story the other day.
Aye.
It's okay, you can talk to me about it.
It's nothing to be proud of. But considering they were my mistakes to make, perhaps I shouldn't deny them. I didn't handle things well after Brynjar's death, and I inherited some of his worst habits. The drink, the moon sugar, one day blurring into another. I fell in with what I thought was a band of outlaws. People like me. People who seemed to be born on the path of destruction and death. They called themselves the Blooded Dawn, followers of a Daedric prince. I foolishly wanted to taste that power, and I learned the price.
But you escaped it.
How I got free is a long and painful tale, one I shouldn't burden you with. Now that I am free, I try to keep my eyes and mind on more earthly matters. One of the reasons I'm in Skyrim, digging up my past. I've learned that if you feel you have no place in the world, you must make one.
I'm sorry for what you went through.
I'm not.
Why is that?
Because it set me on the path that met with yours. How could I be sorry for myself when I'm so grateful for that?
I had no idea you cared so much. I'm glad to have met you too.
Well, it's been a long time since I've met somebody I can trust this much.
Are you alright, Kaidan? You've been quiet?
No, not really. Well, sort of. It's nothing. Don't you fret. It'll pass.
It might help to talk about it. I'm here for you and always willing to listen.
I've been thinking about that one fight. The bandit. I almost didn't make it to you. And I thought for sure I wouldn't. That I'd fail you. Then you'd be gone.
But you did get there in time, you always do.
Aye, I know. It's just...
We've had close calls before, Kaidan. Why was this one so different?
It's just... I mean... Look, I'm alright. I take being your shield very seriously.
More so than I realised.
You sure that's all that's bothering you?
Aye. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. So, where are we off to then, eh?
Would you read from this book to me?
Can I ask you something? At what points in our travels have you seen me wandering about with a loot strapped to me back? I'm a swordsman, not a skald.
I thought you wanted to read more.
To myself, I wasn't looking to become a great orator.
Please.
Would it really make you happy? All right, I'll give it a try. Right, here it goes. That man of loneliness and mystery, scarce seen to smile, and seldom heard to sigh. And he knew himself a villain, but he deemed the rest no better than the thing he seemed, and scorned the best as hypocrites who hid those deeds the boldest spirit plainly did. He knew himself detested, but he knew the hearts that loathed him, crouched and dreaded too. Lone, wild, and strange, he stood alike, exempt from all affection and from all contempt. I'm not great at expressing what I feel over me past, but those words, they say it right. How can I help?
Were you going to ask something?
You know, I'm curious about you. Where are you from?
I was born far from Skyrim.
You must miss your homeland at times. I hope the war hasn't made Skyrim too unwelcoming.
Are you alright? Didn't seem like you slept well last night.
Oh yeah, I'm fine. Not really used to sleeping with someone. Fuck. I mean, spending the entire night with shit. I slept fine. If you're sure, that's all. Hello again.
I slept so well last night. I think that's your fault.
Me? I'm not sure what you mean by that. It's not the first time I've heard that, but definitely the first time I didn't do anything to deserve it.
Pardon?
You were explaining how I helped you sleep well.
Just wanted you to know I feel a lot safer with you here.
Alright, I'm glad to hear it. Definitely wouldn't mind earning it the other way either. Fuck. Mankind focus, be a shield protector. Ugh. Need something?
Come on, let's get going.
I am your sword and shield.